Welcome to Season 12 of the Social Work Rants podcast, providing an inside look of the social work mental health profession. Social work being political, the struggles of social work entrepreneurship, the intersectionality of mental health and finances as it relates to social work and society as a whole. Let's get it. Hope you enjoy. Hello, social workers, mental health professionals, and change agents. Welcome to another episode of the Social Work Rants podcast. Saludos a todos. Greetings, everybody. Thank you for tuning in, tapping in wherever you are watching or listening to this podcast. I appreciate all the love and support. Gracias a todos por su apoyo. This podcast is not to be intended to replace individual therapy or counseling. If you need a therapist, uh, or need any sort of mental health support, please contact 988. If you have a mental health emergency, medical emergency, call 911 for my out of the country listeners and viewers, wherever your emergency number is, use that number. It's okay not to be okay, but definitely get the help that you need. So, social work is political. Let's start there. So, this episode is about to get real political. But let's start on the positive. So I always like to Google, the podcast, type in the Social Work Brands podcast or like top social work podcasts. And last, actually, yeah, last week, uh, the good folks at FeedSpot, uh, shout out to them. They listed the top 35 podcasts, excuse me, going into 2026. And number two is the Social Work Rants podcast. So shout out, and that goes thanks, obviously thanks to FeedSpot, but thank you to the listeners and viewers of the podcast that tune in. Many of y'all tune in weekly, so I try to be consistent with with the episodes. It is hard to, it's getting harder to do weekly episodes, to be honest with you, but to try to be consistent. And I do feel bad when I miss a week. And like this week, I'm trying to get to 300 episodes by the end of 2026. So if I gotta drop 2 episodes a week to get there, I'm gonna do that. And Agent Orange is giving me a lot to talk about. So that's a positive about um, what the killer in chief is doing. He's giving me material to talk about because there be weeks about like I have no idea what to talk about, and he does something stupid, or somebody in the administration does something stupid, and I somehow related to the social work because it affects us one way or another. If it doesn't affect us, the workers, for many it affects the clients that we serve. So to drive to 300 episodes, we going strong. But having number two ranked podcast in the world out of literally 6 years ago, started sitting on my bed in the Bronx with the phone up to my mouth while I'm sitting on the bed and hitting record, downloading an app, hitting record, hitting send, and the podcast is listened like all over the world. To now 6 years later be like number two in the world. That's thanks to the social work mental health professionals, you, the listeners, the viewers that watch or listen to the podcast, and thank you. That's really what I wanted to. Without you, listening and whatever, and thank you so much. That being said, if you've been living under a rock, that's actually kind of a form of self care, considering everything that's been happening so far in 2026. I guess I could still say Happy New Year. This Agent Orange is off to a hot start, uh, literally kidnapping uh, the Venezuelan president, even though he shouldn't be the president, but because Venezuela had an election and he lost handily. So Maduro got kidnapped by Trump, well, special forces or whatever that's taking orders from the commander in chief. So Maduro got kidnapped. Uh, Reports that he uh, a pit stop in Puerto Rico, and then got sent to New York, my home city, to and is thrown in jail in New York and in Brooklyn. It's not a funny situation. I kind of after weeks of killing people that's off the coast of Venezuela, um, for alleged drugs smugglers, even though there was like no proof of drugs found on any other boats, and said, "Oh, they're still alive. Let's go kill them." And so that's why I call Trump the killer in chief. His trash COVID, response during his first term, and over 1 million people, American citizens, died, and he's still killing people uh, in international waters. So that's out of my scope of practice to talk about international policy, internet, and killing people on international waters. But killing people on international waters, kidnapping a leader in a foreign country, um, and it's like a bad guy. Obviously, Maduro is a dictator. Many people were happy he got captured or supposedly out of power, even though his vice president kind of took over. That's a whole other story for another day. I was the regime, his heads are still there. Um, he, so that happened, and then literally got uh, ICE agents killing an two American citizens. One that went under the radar New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, a black man, and the woman that we all saw. If you didn't see the video, we like literally were traumatized seeing a woman on video in Minnesota getting killed by ICE agents uh, and an American citizen. And we got plenty of people so far since Trump's army, ICE, uh, has killed at least 32 people that we even know of. I'm kidnapping people throughout the country, uh, scaring folks. My full time job. I had families, afraid to bring their kids to see the doctor. So it's had an impact throughout the country, and we had certain states having police officers assisting ICE agents in taking folks. So that's been happening. So it's been one hell of a week to 2026, and the president of the United States causing his fellow citizens vicarious trauma on a daily basis, uh, not only for his first term, but already going in 1 year, almost a full year into his second term. And 2025, in many accounts, felt like 10 years because he was doing something every day. And everything he said he was going to do, he's been doing it. So, um, I'm gonna try to get better. I'm still on my petty side. So people say we told you so. We told you so. This was gonna happen. Um, Hillary Clinton warned you, and Vice President Harris warned you everything he was gonna do. And he said it out of his own mouth he was gonna do what he was gonna do. and he's doing it. So for all the social workers who voted for Agent Orange, this is what you're getting. So, and there's many of you out there. I interviewed one on 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 the podcast. You can go back and listen to it and get offended for everything he he says. So, if you want, but my point is trauma after trauma, literally every day there's something new that, and to the point I'm gonna make a unpopular opinion. He's done so much, caused so much vicarious trauma that there's not even enough self care in the world to like overcome a, and deal with what he's done. And my point is, my call to action is I would love to see online more social workers, mental health professionals taking a stand, calling out the BS out, calling Trump's BS out on his BS. Because what he's doing day in, day out is, let's take, I don't do private practice work. I'm not a therapist. I used to do therapy. Even flipping the phone, you like going on Instagram or Twitter, or whatever social media platform, and you see something crazy happening, and like, so you're already traumatized what you're seeing, and you like, and your feelings of what is happening, and then you get to work, and you know, you might almost, if you drive, you might almost get into an accident. People drive like crazy in these streets nowadays, or you take public transportation and the train is late or whatever. I used to take uh, public transportation living in New York, and there was always drama with the MTA, and you getting to work late and you were upset, whatever, messing up your day, and then you gotta deal with a client and you don't know what the client is gonna say in front of you. You might be crying, might be angry, whatever, and then you dealing with, now the client's traumatizing you for whatever the client just said during the session. So now you all like, how you deal with that, how you like, center yourself to make sure you're all right to be there for the clients that you serving, or you like doing community work and you're in the trenches. You seeing what's happening. Like, my last job, I was dealing with um, helping clients applying for ACA, and like clients with protected status, and those protected statuses are gone, and like the ACA that's in limbo because breaking news, like the House gotta like do another vote to see if it passes. So I don't know how that's confusing as it is already, because people, okay, so you paid a premium, and I'm going on a tangent. So everybody's health insurance, if you have ACA insurance, everybody's insurance went up. So you paying that premium for January, you might be paying February's premium. So what if it gets passed? Like, are people going to get refunded that money back, or costs are going to go back down? That the ACA situation is all jacked up as it is. Um, and then you hear the back and forth. Republicans blaming Democrats, Democrats blaming Republicans. The system is all jacked up, and that leads to, it trickles down to us, the workers. It trickles down to the clients that we serve in, and that's why, end of the day, social work is political. We gotta be in the trenches. And my call to action, I love to see more social workers, mental health professionals putting themselves out there to talk about what's happening in your state, because obviously every state is different. We got good politicians doing good things. We got horrible politicians doing horrible things, and that's how like the podcast, 6 years ago, really got like off the ground and moving and making some headway. Is me reaching out to certain folks that who I follow that don't live in my state, finding out what is happening in your state, what is happening in your city that is affecting you, how you work, and what I'm not seeing on national news coverage that's affecting the work that's happening in the profession. Um, so I like to see more of that. What is happening in your cities? What is happening in your states? And again, those in Canada, what is happening in Canada, because I know the west side of Canada was like very anti-vax when the vaccines came out, and I was going through on Twitter, and like there's a lot of angry folks on during the COVID days. So uh, anywhere in the world, what is happening that's affecting social work in obviously your cities, your countries, what is happening, since the podcast it is international. So I'd love to know, or even the international folks, what are they saying about America? What are they saying about Trump? So definitely leave a comment. I love to know like the international perspective on America, or international perspective of what is happening regarding the mental health profession, social work profession as a whole. So that that's my CTA, my call to action. I'm taking a cue from Native Land podcast, a political podcast I listen to that they like to do CTA. So I'm that's my CTA to the social work profession. What like I love to see more. It's like I know you live in California, and why is California so freaking expensive? And Newsom, they got him prepped to be like at least contending for the Democratic nominee 2028, and I'm not fucking with Gavin, not right now. So, um, Texas, I know like Governor Abbott is doing the shit show, like, and then it's still Ted Cruz, like Lion Ted, like it's a perfect nickname for him that Trump called him. So, what's happening in Texas? What's happening in Florida? You know, DeSantis acting a fool and doing all kind of stuff. Um, whatever's happening in your city, your state. Well, love to know what's happening. If you like to get on the podcast and talk about it, we can have that type of conversation. So, um, is my point is, social work is political. We need to at least talk about it. Sh- share space with each other of like seeing some common ground. Like, how are you doing with all this, with everything that's happening? How are your clients handling this? Like, how's the way your client is handling whatever's happening in the world? How is that affecting you and your work on your day to day outside of work? Um, and again, my unpopular opinion, like, how are you practicing self care? Is there enough self care in the world that you could do to, you know, to tune out at least for a couple of hours? Um, what's happening in the world? I know, I'm a big sports fan, and the college football playoffs are happening. NFL playoffs are starting, and even like with the sports, some of it can get political depending who you're listening or watching as well. So uh, the politics is out there. It affects our money, it affects our wallets. So as a certified financial social worker myself, definitely I gotta keep tabs of what's happening in terms of money, because it affects us in our pockets, affects clients I'm trying to serve, fellow caregivers in the sandwich generation, struggling with their finances while caregiving, and we just had uh, the government shutdown affected food stamps like late, the beginning of the fall. So there's potentially another government shutdown that's potentially looming towards the end of this month. So there's there's that black cloud on the horizon as well. So uh, one day at a time, folks. That's all I could give you for today. So um, that's it. Quick episode. And again, thank you everybody that's been rocking with the podcast. Uh, keep watching, share, like, comment on episodes, especially on YouTube. Hit that like button, share, leave comments. Uh, potentially try might change the podcast in terms of the feed, or like I might like change the hosting platform. I'm looking to change the hosting platform on the audio side. That should not affect how you listen to the podcast, but uh, it- the podcast has been a lot harder to like you know upload, especially on the audio side. So I'm looking to streamline that. So that being said, talk soon, y'all. Peace. Stay safe.